name is Khan.
Yeah, and call me Marcus Aurelius Garvey. You and I, it was a way to assimilate. I'ma disseminate every single intention you put in the verse, and the word of the flow is the form of definitive adoration. What the fuck do you mean? A beautiful mind. And
What if every Ultrakill enemy could be enraged? Wait, what? It didn't get enraged.
committed a murder, the verdict is dark. I'll start by giving you emphasis. Guarantee you remember this. Memorizing the cadence, I penetrate with camaraderie. Constantly.
Anyways, but what if the Sentry had an enraged state? What would it look like? Well, for starters, let's look at its stats on Brutal. The Sentry has 12 health and will try to get far away from you and lock itself down. If you are very close nearby, it will do an unparryable kick. Once it's far away from you, it will lock itself down and dig into the ground and wait for their attack to charge up, and then they will ultimately fire at you. On Brutal, they are way faster and fire twice back to back, and each shot does 50 damage. The sentries can be combated by using revolvers, ground stomping, and knuckle blasting the hell out of it. But most importantly, doing a sick as hell chargeback to instantly kill the quote unquote greater machine that dies to spare chain. So what changes can we make to the sentry for an actual enraged state to be activated? And what will happen to it once it's activated? Well, we can remove two of the big counters to the sentry using a chargeback or the knuckle blaster. Now using the chargeback or knuckle blaster will do absolutely nothing to the sentry besides activating its enraged state. That was very obvious, and if you didn't see that coming from the start, well, I don't know what to say, you're dumb! What will the enraged state even be like? Well, we know from the other enraged enemies that the enemy usually gets faster and stronger, so we will make the sentry attack 2 times faster than on Brutal. Usually the beam takes about 3 seconds to charge up, and now the attack will only take 1.5 seconds to charge up, which is incredibly fast. You don't believe how fast this is. The enraged sentry won't deal more damage. That's something I'm pretty fixated on. If the sentry were to be enraged, it wouldn't do more damage since it does 50 damage already, and that's ungodly enough as it is, and it does 2 of those attacks. But we will give it a 3rd beam attack right after the 2nd one. Because Now, I know what a lot of you guys might be thinking. Wow, that's way too harsh of a change. But remember, the sentry will only activate its enraged state when you try to knuckle blast it or charge back it. And you don't do that on accident. I mean, maybe you knuckle blast the sentry on accident, because it was in close proximity. But you don't accidentally charge back a sentry. And to end things off, to end the sentry off at least, once it's enraged, you can't just knuckle blast it again or charge back it. It won't kill it. It still won't do anything. So let's say you use the charge back and now the sentry's enraged. You can't just do another charge back to kill it. It's immune to that. Alright, that was a lot of changes. I think that's good enough for the sentry. It's pretty harsh, but again, you won't accidentally activate its enraged state. So let's move on to enraging an enemy that you guys wanted to see enraged. The Filth. As always, if you don't like how I enraged an enemy, then comment down below what you guys didn't like and how I could fix it. Anyways, now it's time for the Filth.
An opinion depicting a radical view. I choose to be insane, and my brain is an algorithm, an astronomical fortress conversing but not conforming.
The Filth is the most common and basic enemy in Ultrakill, the first enemy you encounter right upon playing the game for the first time. The Filth is also the most generic enemy. All it does is run at you and try to bite you, and on Brutal, Filths will also try lunging at you in the air. So I guess that's neat, but really there isn't much to this little fella besides that it appears everywhere. Something that I have noticed, however, in the past is that Filths often group up and kind of attack as one mass. Here, let me show you an example. See? They all group up. But again, it's one of the most basic enemies, so I won't go super insane with making the Filth's enraged state, because, again, it's a really simple enemy. It's the most common enemy. I think the enraged state should apply to every Filth that is grouped up and huddled together in a group of 5 or more. This is because they always end up grouping up together, so I feel like this is something fair I could implement. The enraged state will make them faster and deal slightly more damage. I mean, that's obvious, but that's obviously to be expected from a direct upgrade, as is the enraged state. But also, the Filths will now have a way faster attack speed, not just movement speed, and alongside that will also slightly jump higher, but that's really arbitrary in my opinion, but I still wanted to add it since I think it'll be cool. I think that's about all of the changes. Wait, I forgot one. They also now won't instantly die from just one headshot. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, there's nothing more.
I said it in focus, you better believe it. The way that I'm rhyming and barely breathing, I'm minding my business, the murder, the beating, the point that I'm working to make is that people debating. I guarantee I'ma create.
But let's talk about an enemy that actually deserves cool changes, unlike the Filth. Let's talk about the soldiers, because the soldiers are one of my favorite enemies in Ultrakill. They shoot hell orbs, which you can parry. They shoot out these hell orbs in a quite interesting pattern. Also, when you are very close to it, it will try to kick you, like the Sentry. But it will also, before shooting, roll. Soldiers appear in Lust for the first time, and they are still, for Ultrakill standards, very, very common. You can find the soldiers in just about every level. They don't get spammed as much as the Filth, but you can still find them pretty much anywhere. But what I think is such a shame for such an interesting enemy is that the soldiers will often die way before you notice that they're even there. I think its movement speed is actually decently fast, so I won't make it faster. I feel like that's too arbitrary. But how will I make the soldiers enraged? Well, I thought of a pretty unique idea. Soldiers will now, upon being close to another soldier and witnessing it die, enrage. Giving soldier PTSD was a good idea. Boss. When the soldier enrages, it will triple its current health. So do keep in mind that soldiers only have 2 HP of health. I found this quite surprising, only 2 HP of health. So their health will either be at 6 or at 3 when they get enraged, or they're dead. It just depends if the soldier had 1 HP or 2 HP before getting enraged. The soldiers will also now do 2 waves of shots when shooting, and when the soldiers roll, they will also block all of the damage that would have been dealt to them during the roll. Soldiers can also shoot various shapes out of their launcher instead of just the same one constantly. But the soldier really has one big counter that I want to negate. I want to really remove this counter because I feel like it's very dumb. Shockwaves. Shockwaves, just like all other fodder enemies, make the enemies just go up, and it does the same for the soldiers. The soldiers will go up in the air and slowly come down, which I won't remove the airborne trait, like I won't make them not go in the air, but I feel like for a soldier, I feel like they would be able to still shoot and attack you while they are flying in the air. So I will make it so that the soldiers can still aim and fire while airborne. I mean, they are soldiers, for fuck's sake. Do you think they wouldn't have more combat experience than a regular Filth? And I think that's about every change I would make for an enraged soldier. Like I said, the soldier is too cool of an enemy to just be more fodder for your weapons.
They're telling you everything that you wanted to hear whenever they right in your face. The second you turn, the quicker they burn, and I've been away cause I already learned.
Next up, we have a boss. The Leviathan. The Leviathan is a snake worm-like creature that you fight once in 5-4, with the level being appropriately called Leviathan. Despite having 2 phases and being a seemingly intense fight, the battle itself is extremely easy, and the biggest danger I had while fighting it for the first time is not the fight itself, but not falling off of the slippery bones in the second phase. You know you're a weak boss when people can clear you and the level in less than 30 seconds. So, in the end, I changed a lot of things. Right before the Leviathan dies, it will enrage. Yeah, I know it's a boring enrage condition, but they can't all be super cool, and I feel like I have to make it so that every boss has to get enraged at some point, because I feel like it just makes the fight way more interesting. As soon as the Leviathan enrages, it will gain 50% of its health back, while also being 1.5 times more aggressive on all of its stats. Yes, every stat. That means movement speed 1.5 times faster, attack speed 1.5 times faster, damage 1.5 times. Everything gets a noticeable buff, every stat. This boss is incredibly easy to fight and poses no challenge to you or even anyone as of matter. This will make the fight more intense, but that's not the only thing I'm planning to change. The Leviathan has a problem. It's very predictable and doesn't have that many attack moves. I ask myself why not, since it is a boss fight. But anyways, I'd give some new attack patterns unique to the enraged state, like it getting its tail out to whip you if you're in the air for too long. And probably just similar changes like that, things that spice up the fight just a little bit more. Also, for the enraged state, it will not only just be, more aggressive, it will also form a slight shield around its hard human thingy that's attached to its head. This will make it so that it only consumes 50% of the damage that would be dealt to it. And the final change I'd make to the Leviathan, despite being evil and absolutely necessary, no more parrying attacks. You heard me. You can't parry any of the Leviathan attacks anymore. You have to, instead of parrying them back, dodge them. And that's all of the changes I'd implement for the Leviathan. So let's get into doing the next enemy.
My ass, we're giving the rhythm you live in the past, a part of the pen and the pen of the book, a piece of the pop of the people to eat. We giving a beautiful feast, a literal beast, until every thought is obese. Food for the minds of the foolish, many a minuscule men trying to suppress what I get.
Well, the next enemy, let's just say people would be mad at me if I didn't at least include one of them in this video. The Flesh Prison, and Minos Prime accordingly. The Flesh Prison is, unlike the Leviathan, a challenging boss fight to fight unless you have fought it countless of times before and have just gotten used to it eventually. The thing that makes this fight so special to me is that the Flesh Prison can regenerate its health, which forces you to focus on the eye spawns for some time. On Violent and on Brutal, some of the eye spawns get turned into malicious spawns, which have 2 HP and are more aggressive. But really, it's still not that much of a challenge. So let's get into the Enraged Flesh Prison. Like I said, we're making an enraged state for all of the enemies. Yes, all of them, eventually. So let's start with the given. The Flesh Prison will enrage after getting down to 10% of its health. It will then shortly after heal a little bit, like I'd say 10% back. It will only spawn malicious spawns from that point on, but they don't really make a difference, because they aren't that much stronger than the normal eye spawns. In fact, I didn't even notice they existed. The homing projectiles are faster now, and won't be parryable anymore, since that's the easiest way to deal damage to the Flesh Prison. It is unbelievably easy to beat the Flesh Prison by just parrying its attacks back. We will also be adding 5 additional spawns. Usually there are only 12 present, and now there will be 17. But those additional spawns will all just be regular eye spawns, so they won't be malicious spawns. Besides that, the Flesh Prison itself will shoot out attacks slightly faster, but it'll only be like 1.15 times or 1.2 times faster, or by a slim margin like that. It will be very, very unnoticeable, but it will be slightly faster.
Out of my room and I pray for my soul to prepare for the doom. Assume that I would glorify violence and plenty ignorance, subliminal messages inside of all of the images. I'm a reclusive author that's very strict with tradition.
But let's get to the part of the video that you have all been waiting for. Minos Prime. Minos Prime is the second hardest boss of all of Ultrakill as of now, since P3 will certainly make Minos Prime look like a filth in comparison to it, but as of now, Minos Prime is the second hardest boss in game. But overall, he is very fast, very aggressive, and will attack you in various different ways, ranging from Judgment, him teleporting above you and drop-kicking your ass, or to Prepare Thyself, of him rapidly throwing haymakers at your ass. He's gonna beat you. Either way, this boss fight is very fascinating, and I could go on and on, but that's not what the video is about. How will I enrage Minos Prime? And after so much consideration and planning, I have decided to do the following things to it. Minos Prime will enrage somewhat early compared to the other bosses, enraging at just 30% of its health left. But unlike many other enemies, all the other boring enemies that can be enraged, this is not the only way to enrage Minos Prime. By parrying the serpent projectile attack and hitting Minos, he will also get enraged. But he has to be below 50% for him to get enraged after parrying its serpent attack. That means even if you parry the attack and Minos Prime is at, let's say, 60%, nothing will happen. It will just all be a usual regular boss fight. And like I said, we're only doing the enraged state, so if it's not enraged, it will just work as usual. I love it when there are multiple ways to enrage an enemy, but unless it's an important boss like this, the change is pretty unwarranted, but I feel like here it's pretty useful. Now we have an enraged Minos Prime. So, what will he do? Well, Minos Prime's callouts are as following. Judgment, die, prepare thyself. Thy end is now, and crush. But I would add another attack enhance callout to that list. Condemn. Condemn. I will make Minos Prime, after he says condemn, do the following things. Minos Prime will teleport above you, and will ground stomp you, before teleporting to you and tries multiple melee attacks on you. Minos Prime will, right after that, send a serpent. However, not just one serpent, since it is enraged, I will add a second serpent. The first serpent works as usual, but the second serpent is unparryable. The second serpent is also way slower than the first one, so you don't have to worry about when to time your parrying attacks on the first one. Yeah, this is somewhat a lot to remember, but keep in mind this is one of the hardest bosses in the entire game, and not only that, it's for an attack phase that only lasts about a minute or two if you're good at the game. But this is nowhere close to being done with Minos Prime. I wanted to go all out. Did you seriously think I was only gonna add one single additional attack moveset to him? Hilarious. Minos Prime will, however, not do more damage to you. It won't. It won't do more damage to you. And its movement speed, well, again, like 1.1 times faster like that. Only just to say that it's slightly faster. But it won't do more damage to you. No, that is something I'm pretty set on because it would be pure insanity for Minos Prime to already do more damage to you. Especially now that it attacks way faster. Also, one last thing to note before people get confused is that the condemn cycle attack thingy will only happen during the enraged part of the fight. And I mean only the enraged part of the fight, to keep things fair. This would be atrocious to have to fight against for the whole battle. In fact, even if you enrage Minos Prime early, the condemn cycle will only happen after Minos Prime is below 30% health. This has been a lot of new changes and, more importantly, a lot of fun to create, but as always, I am not flawless, and I do make mistakes, and sometimes I make very big mistakes. Whether that be me truly not knowing how an enemy works, or how the game works, or when I just spew out random bullshit every now and then. I think these changes are fine, and they add an extra layer of depth and difficulty to the game, but they're not absurdly ridiculous. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope you enjoyed. Especially the end, because I spent a long time on it. Please do subscribe, and if you enjoy these types of videos, and if you want to see me enrage more enemies, well, this will have to do, for now, because this, I don't want to go on break for another month. I want to start uploading more consistently, because I have kind of been getting lazy with the upload schedule. Also, I have a Discord server available if you want to join. And without wasting too much of your time, please subscribe if you really enjoyed this video. And if you do end up subscribing, liking, commenting, or just engaging with the video, thank you. Seriously, thank you. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.